So they lied. They lied again. I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's incredible how egregious their fibs, their public betrayals, and their decisions to throw their so-called friends under the bus all the time really are. Harry and Meghan claimed that the Kardashians, and specifically Kris Jenner, had done something wrong because they had apparently ticked a consent form saying that they didn't want their pictures to be put out into the public domain. Problem is, there was no consent form. It was an invention, a briefing to Tom Sykes of The Royalist to try and make these two look as if they were in some way taking the moral high ground over the Kardashians. And not surprisingly, of course, Kim and Kris and all of them are just totally furious because it's about the fact that they are overshadowing Kris's 70th birthday celebrations. No one wants the toxic twosome taking over every single major event in their lives. This reporting from Page 6 overnight. The Kardashians not happy about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle overshadowing Kris Jenner's party. An insider exclusively telling Page 6 that the famous brood is getting annoyed with the Sussex camp for overshadowing what was intended to be a celebration of Kris. The source, of course, referring to the drama involving since-deleted photos that were taken of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from inside the bash. We're told a rep for the couple allegedly asked Jenner and Kim Kardashian to remove the pics they shared of the royals in Instagram photo dumps recapping the party. Additionally, a recent report suggested that Harry and Meghan marked no on an alleged consent form that was handed out at the Mommages soiree. But another source close to the situation adamantly tells Page 6 that's simply not true, as a consent form never existed. But the mystery is deepening, okay? And this is really interesting. And I want to bring, according to Taz Royal YouTube sensation, in on this. Because, Tash, I have been looking very closely at the briefing and the counter-briefing. And there is a fascinating line buried within Alison Boshoff's report in the Mail today. Regarding the bizarre deletion of the pictures of the Sussexes, Team Jenner insists that there was an ask to post photos by one party and then an ask to take them down from another. Now, I want to translate that because, of course, Alison Boshoff is trying to protect her sources here, but what's very clear is that the first ask was from Meghan Markle. That's what I was told. Get these photos up. You know, why am I not in it? The second ask is Prince Harry. Take them the hell down. Now, Tam on X really made me laugh because they wrote, okay, just reading Alison Boshoff, came across this. Now, could it be that the first party was the ILBW and the second party was H? Now, Tash, I don't know about you because, you know, I'm a little bit older, okay? And I was like, ILBW? ILBW? What does that mean? I don't know. So I put it into Grok and I was like asking. And Tash, it stands for Instagram loving bitch wife, a mocking term popularized in online anti-Meghan communities. I hadn't come across it before, but I mean, accurate as far as I'm concerned. But this is fascinating, isn't it? Because it very much matches up with my reporting across the week, which was to begin with, Meghan was very annoyed. Then there was this takedown request. The Kardashians were like, what the hell? You asked for these pictures to go up. Then Meghan and Harry said, well, we ticked the consent form. There was no consent form. It's one big fat lie. What do you make of it all, Tash, this Photogate disaster?
I mean, they're really messing with the wrong family now. Unlike the royal family, the Kardashian Jenner clan are not going to turn the other cheek. They will fight back. Harry and Meghan trying to make out that somehow they've been done wrong by them, when I think it's a miracle that Meghan got invited to that sort of level of celebrity party anyway, I think has definitely damaged them in that circle now. But yeah, I mean, it was clearly obvious there was something not right when the photographs were originally first being uploaded by Kris and by Kim, because we saw all of the pictures and Harry and Meghan weren't there. So this led to obviously people discussing it on social media. And then the mainstream media started picking up on it, saying it was a snub. And then, of course, the photos, then I think a few hours after a few media outlets had run this apparent snub, we started getting the pictures of Harry and Meghan. So I believe that I believe that Meghan definitely said, I want these pictures up. And then whether it be Harry or suddenly there was a bit too much backlash and their people got involved and said they needed to be taken down. But I do believe that they were asked to put the pictures up and then they were then told to take them down. It's creating drama. And the one thing that the Kardashian Jenners, I think, are not going to appreciate is this was an epic, huge birthday for Kris Jenner's 70th. And it's been completely overshadowed by Harry and Meghan because of their constant clapbacks, because they're getting people to run to the press, they're getting sources to speak to people. There was a consent form, there wasn't a consent form, and they have just continued to make it it's a week later, and they're still talking about Harry and Meghan. And I just do not think that that will go down well with the Kardashians at all.
It won't. It won't. And of course, one of the issues here is that they were so naive on so many levels. But also, I think a lot of this was also down to vanity because Harry and Meghan look so appalling in the pictures. Now, Maureen Callahan and Megyn Kelly are all across this on Meghan's show. Watch this. A very quick but personal message from me to you to let you know that the best way you can support Dan Wootton Outspoken is to subscribe to my Substack at www.outspoken.live. Substack is a free speech platform that protects me from big tech cancellation and lawfare. Paid annual or monthly subscribers get an extra hour of content with the Royal Uncancelled After Show available every weekday with no advertising whatsoever. You can also message me direct on there. That's www.outspoken.live.
Well, and so who shows up and then scolds the host, the birthday girl, for having the photo with them? It's like, then don't pose for it, you idiot. Just say, I'd rather not.
How about don't go?
Right.
How about don't even go? You know, the thing that struck me too about those images of Meghan entering, you know, Harry had her by the hand, but she was several steps behind and she was beaming. Like this was like her fullest self-actualization. She's at a Hollywood party hosted by Kris Jenner. Now, if she had an iota of common sense, she would have realized that had she just stayed as a royal, it would have been the likes of Kris Jenner, desperate to be in a room with her.
Yes.
Desperate to be in a room with Meghan Markle, and how the tables have turned. And she's not as clever as she thinks.
Yeah.
She doesn't get that this is not good for her brand.
Yeah.
All true. But I think the biggest issue, right, is that Meghan looked horrendous, but Harry looked even worse. Totally drunk and pervy at a 70-year-old.
Yeah, he's totally ogling.
Yeah, he was
totally-
right, Tash.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and so that's the issue. It was like, oh my God, these pictures are mortifying. And this was Meghan and Maureen's take.
First one where Harry is looking at Kris.
Oh.
If you look closely, okay.
His eyes
Do you see where they are?
on her boobs.
And he looks wasted, wasted. And Meghan, that's your prize, okay? That's your Duke, your Prince of the Blood. He's ogling a 70-year-old woman.
And, you know, the Kardashians have been pretty kind about this all week, but now the briefing is getting a little bit harsher. They are pissed off, especially Kim.
She was pissed that the Kardashians posted them. Meanwhile, what lunatic poses for a photo with a Kardashian and thinks it's not going to get posted?
Why are we alive? You know, to paraphrase Warren Beatty to Madonna in Truth or Dare.
Right.
If you're not on camera, why live?
Does it even matter?
Does it matter? So they go, the cost of entry, this is a blood oath you take when you cross the threshold of any Kardashian Jenner enterprise. You're going to be exploited. Your
Yes,
image and
yes,
likeness,
you are.
you are signing it away. Just kiss it goodbye. And so, you know.
You will be exploited. That should be like underneath the entryway of every Kardashian event.
100, like South Park, like we want our privacy, you will be exploited.
We want privacy.
We want privacy. And so these two, so apparently now the Kardashian Jenners are extremely angry with the Sussexes for making this ad hoc demand when the cost of entry, I mean, Meghan, the driveway leading up to this thing they had hired like the best paparazzi in the business to take photos of all the guests coming in.
Yes,
This is how we got our favorite platonic couple, Oprah and Gail, together, right?
Yes.
Entering the Bezos Sanchez lair. They were the ones throwing the party for Chris, by the way.
Okay.
Jeff Bezos.
Oh, naturally. Okay.
So, there's all theories about why Meghan wanted to be in that party in particular.
But Tash, this is the issue, isn't it? Eventually, the Kardashians are going to say, well, this is why we hadn't invited them to previous events, because they cause merry hell every time. And it's a lesson to the rest of Hollywood as well. Like Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos are going to be thinking, thank the Lord we didn't give them a pity invite to our wedding.
Yes, I mean, that's really true. They were very absent from the multiple parties that they held in the run up to their wedding and then afterwards as well. And I do think that this is going to have a knock on effect. Meghan hadn't been invited to any of the big celebrity events that we've been seeing, especially over the course of the last couple of years, even big Hollywood get togethers in Montecito on her doorstep. It's always noted when they don't go. But if they're going to bring this sort of drama when they do go to something, it's obviously going to end up with more invites for Meghan definitely being lost in the post. But I do think that the invite was for Harry anyway. I think the photographs of Kim with Meghan and Chris as well, with both of them, they're leaning more toward, well, Chris is definitely leaning towards more Harry. And that one photograph with Meghan trying to put her arm around Chris, where Harry was ogling her, it looked like she was dancing towards him. She's interacting with Harry, and Meghan's like, hey, claw's been activated. Don't forget about me. I'm here too. And I think more than ever, she's shown that she cannot be trusted to go to something like this without making a spectacle of herself. The drama with the photographs, perhaps even Meghan was behind it, because as I said, a week later, people are still talking about it. And I think, I can imagine that the Kardashians are really annoyed, because as I said, it wasn't just any party, it was the matriarch's 70th birthday party. And those two have still managed to somehow overshadow it and make it all about them. And I don't think that will be forgotten easily.
And the author Tom Bauer has spoken out now, Tash. He's obviously the man behind the Meghan Markle book Revenge, but he's currently working on a sequel. I just want to tell you what he says, Tash, and get your reaction. He says, it's noticeable that Harry is unable to stage the Richter smile, which actress Meghan always displays for the cameras. He looks fed up being paraded one day at a sports match and on another day at a celeb party. Clearly, he is now worried what revenge his brother might one day carry out against himself and his ambitious wife. The Duchess has become not so much a guest for hire, but a guest searching for publicity. And this time she has landed a major party trophy. For the first time, she's mixing with A-list celebs. That's a great coup for a Duchess searching for security and approval. And I guess what he is referring to, though, Tash, in terms of Harry clearly being worried about what revenge his brother might one day carry out against him, is because the briefing to Page 6 earlier in the week was that the reason behind asking for the Kardashians to take the pictures down was because Harry didn't want to annoy the British royal family. But again, to me, that is just total spin. They've never cared up until now. Exactly. They tried to literally destroy Prince William's Earthshot Prize last week. It's like, it's nothing to do with the royals. But first, as we get older, you notice it. After a cold, a hard workout, even a long week, recovery just isn't as quick as it used to be, right? That bounce back factor matters. And it turns out the secret isn't luck, it's stem cells, your body's built-in repair crew. With age, that system slows down. Fewer cells, weaker signals, slower recovery. That's exactly why Qualia created Qualia Stem Cell. Think of it this way. Your cells are powerful. Qualia Stem Cell helps keep them that way. It's crafted with nature's heavy lifters, sea buckthorn royal jelly, and more to support your body's natural repair system so you can keep moving, healing, and thriving. You don't have to accept slowing down. This is about supporting better aging by reactivating the systems that help you bounce back. And it's refreshingly simple. You take it just 4 days a month. So if you've ever felt like your body just doesn't bounce back like it used to, whether it's after a tough workout, getting sick, or just the wear and tear of life, this is for you. Qualia Stem Cell was designed to support your body's natural repair systems, helping you heal, recover, and keep going strong. And right now, you can try it for up to 50% off at qualialife.com/Dan. And here's a bonus. Use the code Dan for an additional 15% off your order. So that's QUALIA life.com/Dan. Your body's built to repair itself. Qualia just helps it do it that better. And a big thanks, by the way, to Qualia for sponsoring this episode of Outspoken. But now, back to the show.
No, that story definitely wouldn't wash with me as soon as I saw it. There's no way that I think that Harry would suddenly have a moment of self-reflection after everything that he and his wife have done to that family over the years. No, there's no chance in that. And the whole thing is, like you mentioned earlier, and I think Meghan and Maureen hit it on the head as well. It's the fact that if you're going to a celebrity event and you just want to go to network, you don't want to be involved in the main press photos. I mean, it's dangerous going to a Kardashian Jenner thing, like they said. Of course, you sign your life away. That is their life, that friendship, everything is recorded and it's put out there for content. But the fact is that Harry and Meghan weren't just in the background. They weren't photographs of them talking to other people. They were captured by chance. They latched onto the birthday girl, which of course would be everybody who's anybody at that party would be coming over to Chris at some point to congratulate her, as you do. She was, it was her birthday. But Harry and Meghan posed for photographs with the event photographers. There were other celebrities that went to that. I heard that Beyonce went as well, but she snuck in. Harry and Meghan could have snuck in. They didn't. They got out. They walked down the gangway with all of the waiting paparazzi. They wanted to be photographed. They took the photographs inside the venue because Meghan wanted those photographs to be released. And I do believe that she then hassled for the photographs to be posted. And then there was obviously all of the drama, whether it was Harry or whether it was Meghan going, oh, I know another way that we could get us, talked about for weeks on end. Let's pull the photos now. That'll get everybody talking. So they're pretty cunning and devious with their ridiculous games they play with the media.
Indeed. And the problem is, Tash, there are real consequences for them as a result of this, not just with the Kardashians, but with the few media allies they have left. One of them being Tom Sykes, right? Who writes the Brilliant Royalist Substack. And he's always fair, and he tried to present what Harry and Meghan had told him. But now he's blowing the whistle on the fact that they lied.
Yep.
So in his new post, he writes, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stand accused of having lied about why images of them were removed from the Instagram accounts of Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner. Sources close to the Sussexes previously told the royalists that the couple were issued consent forms before arriving at Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, and that they ticked the no box when asked whether they agreed to their photographs appearing on social media afterwards. However, Kardashian side sources flatly told the royalists this evening of the oddly specific claim there were no consent forms. When we went back to the Sussex camp for clarification, the once chatty source abruptly clammed up. The shutters came down. There would be no further comment on this ridiculous story. On the surface, this is a ridiculous bit of celebrity navel-gazing. On another, however, it's hard to think of a more revealing distillation of the era and culture in which these people live, a culture where oneself exists primarily as a managed projection, and where attending a party is so much more than attending a party. Meghan understands that attending Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party at Jeff Bezos' house with Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey and Snoop Dogg in attendance is not really a social occasion in the sense that normal people understand the term. It is a networking symposium disguised as a soiree, a kind of luxury trade fair in which the commodity is one's own image. Meghan, we can see, understands this instinctively in the photos which were subsequently deleted. She is fully on, performing the role the room requires. Harry, by contrast, looks like a man who wandered in thinking, this might be fun, and found to his amazement that it was, and pretty girls staffed a free bar. He has not received the memo informing him that he is actually in a semiotic battlefield. What unquestionably did happen is that Harry and Meghan asked for the photographs to be taken down. That much is beyond dispute. The knotty question is why their camp constructed a justification so easily knocked over the phantom consent forms. Why make a claim so brittle while touting themselves as global apostles of truth? To posit an answer to that, we have to go back a step and ask why they may have wanted the images removed. One theory offered to Page 6 by someone allegedly familiar with Sussex thinking is that they feared the pictures might antagonise the royal family. I don't know about that. Not annoying the royal family has never seemed a huge priority for either of them. Another is the Remembrance Sunday optics problem, that they didn't want the pictures to clash with images of Kate and William being dutiful in London, but that argument also collapses under the slightest intellectual pressure. If they were so concerned about optics, they could have arrived through the discreet private entrance used by some of the guest list. They didn't. Why not? Because they did want to be seen at this party to counter the narrative that Hollywood is over them, which has been gaining momentum in recent months. Arriving at a Bezos-Jenner mega bash, particularly with Meghan now professionally entangled with Amazon via her cameo in a new film for the streamer, was a clean rebuttal. Meghan's glossy, camera-ready arrival versus Harry's rather strained face told another story. She knew precisely what she was doing. He was trying to keep up. The UK reaction on Sunday was scathing. The photos of the Sussexes gliding into their hypergam LA party landed almost simultaneously with images of William, Catherine and George observing solemn remembrance events. The contrast was brutal. One couple executing duty, the other sashaying into a celebrity centrifuge. British media, still suspicious of American celebrity culture, gleefully contrasted the tackiness of Bezos' $165 million mansion with the authentic grandeur of royal residences. Then came the interior shots. Harry looking somewhat ill at ease. Meghan's dress instantly skewered by fashion commentators. At that point, I would suggest Meghan panicked and set about trying to claw back the images. Perhaps Harry was annoyed at the pictures, maybe as a noted hater of social media. He had been assured nothing would go online without his consent. Maybe Meghan didn't like the way she looked, who knows? With deletion, the Streisand effect kicked in, and the couple's people then compounded the mistake by gabbing about consent forms that, per the Kardashian side, never existed. And even if they had existed, one struggles to imagine any enforceable system in a modern celebrity party where phones and social media instincts proliferate like spores. It is even harder to imagine Meghan willingly posing with Kim Kardashian if she truly wished never to see the photo online. The Sussexes could, in theory, settle this by producing the fabled form. But doing so would drag Meghan into a confrontation with Kim Kardashian. Kardashian world sources tell me that Kim and Kris have moved on, but I do not doubt they may have been pissed off at their fabulous party getting swept up in Meghan-made drama. The fact that they bothered to correct the alleged falsehood about the consent forms from Harry and Meghan's side is also telling. It's ruthless image management from a hugely professional team. Much as the Sussex side may say this is a load of fuss about nothing, they came out of this tarnished. When people lie about teeny tiny things, the mind naturally wanders to what they might do when the topics are larger. That is why this supposedly trivial flap matters. It confirms for those who hold it the existing impression of the couple as unusually anxious about image management and willing to manipulate the truth when it suits them. It recalls their claim that they got married 3 days before their wedding, with the Archbishop of Canterbury ended up having to refute. And of course, the late Queen's utterly damning summary of the veracity of their broader allegations. Recollections may vary. More broadly, it spotlights the truth of digital life. Once a photograph is out, the digital toothpaste is out of the tube. Attempts to squeeze it back in only magnify its visibility. The smarter play is obvious in retrospect. Arrive quietly, via the private entrance, accept that images will emerge, and let the narrative be a simple one. They're back in the Hollywood mix. Instead, a night that could have projected relevance and ease has hardened into a story reinforcing their harshest critiques, brittle sensitivity, chronic over-calculation, and a self-sabotaging relationship with their own myth-making. And Tash, I have to be honest, I think Tom Sykes, yes, I understand he's totally annoyed, furious actually, that he has been lied to over this consent form. But he's got their dilemma totally correct.
Yes, he has. I mean, they made a bad situation worse. I mean, I can't help but think that Harry and Meghan just enjoy the drama. If they had just stayed quiet, if they did demand the photos to be taken down, and then they just didn't say anything, but they can't help themselves. And the fact that they felt the need to add in the lie that a consent form was involved, it's not just the fact that they're saying that the form did or didn't exist. It's the fact what they're saying is, yet again, we are victims. Somebody has betrayed our trust. Somebody has gone against us. And in this case, they're implying that the Kardashians breached their privacy. And as I said at the very beginning, the Kardashians are not going to be like the royal family. They're not going to take allegations or insinuations like that lying down. They have got to protect their brand, and they're certainly not going to end up on the long list of Meghan Markle being a victim of them and having her privacy breached.
Now, Tash, the other major event this week for those circles was Jane Goodall's funeral. And we were led to believe, weren't we, from Harry and Meghan, that they were such close friends with Jane Goodall. You know, she respected them. They loved her. They couldn't be bothered to show up, though. Couldn't be bothered to show at the funeral. And it was interestingly Town and Country, which is a pro Harry and Meghan publication, that decided to make that point, writing Jane Goodall's family and friends and colleagues gathered in Washington, D.C. today for her funeral at Washington National Cathedral. Goodall, a world-renowned conservationist, passed away last month at age 91. However, not among the congregation was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who penned a moving tribute to Goodall upon her death, saying, Dr. Jane Goodall, DBE, was a visionary humanitarian scientist, friend to the planet and friend to us. Her commitment to changing lives extends beyond what the world saw and also to what we personally felt. She held our son Archie when he was first born and showered love and care to those who were privileged to know her. She will be deeply missed. No reason was given why Harry and Meghan missed the funeral, although among those in attendance included the far busier Nancy Pelosi, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jose Andre, meant to be a great friend of Meghan Markle. So, Tash, I mean, this doesn't look good, does it? Because either they were actually never really good friends, and it was a total PR move in the first place. But I mean, even in the statement after her death, they describe her as a friend, but couldn't be bothered to turn up to the funeral. Says a lot about them again, Tash, I'm afraid to say.
Of course it does. Those two use private jets to go to concerts, to just nip over and quickly give a speech and jump back. They use them like the normal person uses an Uber. And the fact that their friends, Jose Andres, went as well, they could have easily gone with him. It's not like those two have got busy schedules now, is it? But it does show, I'm pretty certain that you and I had a chat about it at the time, when they gave that statement, when Jane Goodall had passed away, and they came forward. And it wasn't just, oh, we're very saddened to hear of, the passing of Jane Goodall. I mean, why these two think they have to give a public statement like they're, important always baffles me. But they added in the fact that they were, Jane Goodall was, a good friend. And she held, of course, don't forget, she held Archie when he was born. And, she's such a wonderful person for all of those friends and loved her, talking like that they were a long-term family friend. But I do remember it was a couple of years prior, Jane Goodall had given an interview to People magazine, and she turned around and said that she doesn't know Harry and Meghan, and she thinks it's so silly that stories come out saying that they're such good friends. And, I just find that even more telling, the fact that if she was such good friends with them, she held Archie when he was born. I mean, how many people had that opportunity, including the British royal family? And then Jane Goodall saying, I don't know them. I've met them a handful of times. That gushing post, it shows that they used the death of Jane Goodall to give themselves publicity. And this is another thing that people get turned off with them. Anything big happens in the news, Harry and Meghan find a way to put a statement out there to make it about them. Even that statement, You know, they mentioned me, myself, and I and Archie multiple times. And there is nothing or nobody that they will not use. As we've seen, that's why they're called, in many ways, ambulance chasers and disaster tourists. They will jump on absolutely anything to get themselves in the headlines.
100%, because if they were real friends, Tash, they would have been at that funeral. So
Yeah, of course.
that's my point. I think Jane Goodall was completely right. They weren't actual friends, but as you rightly point out, Tash, they were the ones that in the statement after her death claimed a friendship that wasn't there. Absolutely bizarre. But look, do stand by because we're going to move over to Substack now for the Royal Uncancelled After Show, where we've got big news to break from Bethany Frankel, the star of The Real Housewives, who has revealed a secret friendship or potentially even romance with Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson. And you're not going to believe what Trevor Engelson had to say when Meghan first started dating Harry. This has been the insight I have been wanting for a very long time. We're going to get into it all over on Substack with According to Taz. You can sign up at www.outspoken.live. Paid, annual or monthly subscribers get first access to the Uncancelled After Show, twice the length of what you've just seen, no advertising whatsoever, every single weekday, and you can watch either live or on demand. Substack is a free speech platform, so I'd love you to be there with me, www.outspoken.live. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.